Hello everybody! I don't really know where I'm starting with this video, so I guess I should start with what gender is. Society, historically at least, had this idea of what female and male should be, and this would correspond to the same as your sex, i.e. the genitalia you have when you are born. And this basically dictating how you should dress, your social roles, and how you should interact with others and what you can and can't do in some respects. However, this is now changing, and people are, in some countries at least, being allowed to express themselves in a way that they feel more comfortable with. But in many cases, this is still not possible, and there is a huge amount of judgment that still exists over gender and gender expression in the whole world, against people who don't conform to a certain gender or what their view of what female or male should be, unfortunately. But in the UK, it's sort of becoming less of a thing, but it's still there, which is bad. The way I see gender and the way it is becoming more accepted by more people is that it can be viewed on this spectrum, from one side being completely male to the other side being completely female. And every single person is along this spectrum somewhere. And the majority of people are around either end, either male or female. But some people like me feel like they don't fit at either end. They fit in we fit in more of either the middle or drifting from either end. And gender can be like fluid, as in you can one day feel more masculine or one day feel feminine. I don't know which side I go for things now. Sometimes you may not feel like you fit into either gender at all, so maybe there's a whole new spectrum for that, I think. I don't know. Let's create a new spectrum of completely gendered to no gender. One term used to describe people who don't fit into the binary genders of male and female is non-binary, because binary, non-binary makes sense. There are several other words that people use, but currently myself, I don't feel like any of those other words apply to me, and I'm not a fan of having labels like defining me so much, just because sometimes there's still like stereotypes of what that thing person should be, and we are not simply things that always do certain. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. We don't always we don't fit into this criteria of what something is all the time. We have different interests, and then we progress and change as time goes on. So sometimes things aren't the same as what they were 5 years ago, for example. But some things sort of stay the same, and gender tends to be one of those, except with the sense of fluidity and stuff. Look like it's doing bird wings then. Flap flap. Fluffy Bird brings me back to the days. Also, it's worth pointing out that gender identity and gender expression are two different things. Gender identity is how you think in your head about what you identify as your gender, like whether you're male, female, or something else. And gender expression is how you portray yourself to the outside world. So, gender identity is more of an internal thing, and gender expression is more external, like in the clothes you wear, maybe your body language a bit. And sometimes people struggle to express themselves in a way that externally is the way that they think internally, and sometimes this can be to do with like countries and laws and things imposed so people can't freely express themselves. And hopefully this will change in the future, but some countries are still like, you have to be this because we said so. But then other people express themselves in different ways, how they think in their head, and this can usually be of one of two things. The first reason is that they like expressing themselves in different ways, which is totally cool, and you should always be freely allowed and encouraged to express yourself the way you want to, as long as it's within the as long as you're wearing clothes, I guess, and not breaking any stupid laws and things. But the other one, which I sort of already touched upon, is that sometimes people don't feel comfortable in expressing themselves in the way that they think of themselves in their head. it's sometimes to do with like a confidence thing, or maybe they feel being judged by other people, especially as if people already have like opinions and assumptions about them beforehand, and then if they suddenly change the way they express themselves to make them feel more comfortable, they might, I don't know. But hopefully people feel more confident in the future and things change for the better. So as I was saying, I don't really feel like I fit at either end of the spectrum. I feel like I'm more in the middle area, I guess. And that's mainly because I don't really associate with anything that's typically feminine and choose to wear, I prefer expressing myself in wearing more masculine clothes as such. But I don't really see myself as either of these two binary genders, and I'm totally cool with that. Ching! I don't know why I always do my videos. Ching, that's my signature thing. Ching, ching, ching. That's gonna be a meme or something. A GIF one. Ching, 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 ching. Additionally, I can never really see myself as being a woman, and other words described for females. I don't know, sometimes it bugs me as well when people assume things about you as such as like gender and sexuality, and I'll save the whole sexuality thing for another video sometime. Watch this space. Hence I would prefer to use the they, them pronouns from now on for myself, and or any other gender neutral words, I guess, rather than like you're a woman, but that's not always easy. So you can just call me Harriet Hatster or whatever you fancy, as long as you're not trying to be offensive to me. Yeah, because offensive is offensive. And also a top tip. What am I doing with my hand? You. Yeah, you. This is a top tip for you. If you are unsure about someone else's pronouns or something like that, or anything related to this, then ask them, because they'll be wanting to tell you so that they feel more comfortable and feel more able to express themselves and think that they are what they are because they are, if that makes sense. I hope that some of you maybe relate to where I'm coming from with this video, or maybe consider yourselves as non-binary or anything like that yourselves. And if not, I hope I've improved your understanding on gender, and my gender or lack of it, because I'm like in the middle of the spectrum thing, but then I don't really feel like I fit any gender either, and that's why I prefer they, them pronouns. I hope none of your reactions like, what the hell, Harriet, you're completely crazy, you are female, you have to follow my laws, because at the end of the day I'm me and I can do what I like. Ha ha ha. What's that hand doing? Ha ha ha. And as always, the comments is open for discussion if you want to use the comments down there somewhere, and be respectful and stuff as usual, although no one really ever uses the comments. And you can find me, all of my social medias, links are in the description. Cheese! That's another thing, I either go ching or cheese with my thumbs. And yeah, don't be scared to ask anything. Yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learnt something new maybe, or just enjoyed me sharing this sort of story thing. I didn't really go into too much detail about myself, but it was more of a general gender discussion, and I hope you found it useful. I've been Hatster, you've been you. Thanks for watching, I'll see you again soon. Boom!